Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday we have Dangun Feveron, Cave's quirky disco shoot 'em up brought to us by the M2ShotTriggers series. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. So before we jump into the game, let's take just a quick second to look at the menu. So this is part of the M2ShotTriggers series. What M2 is basically doing there is taking shoot 'em ups from the past and releasing them on the PlayStation 4 with this new, system as it were. We've got a great set of options that are available, although I've really just scratched the surface of this. I haven't put much time into the game yet at all. So we've got several game modes available. There's the original arcade, but we also have a super easy, a fever, which I don't know what that entails, or even a custom. We'll keep it on arcade. We can also change our background for arcade, soundtrack, or the FM range. One of the unique features of Dangun Feveron, or as its international release was known as, Fever SOS, is the soundtrack. It's got this really unique disco soundtrack. So that's something we want to explore. We have the ability to fully customize our control. We've got screen settings that we can adjust. We've got this M2 gadget setting, and I'm really not sure what all of these do. Looking through some of the options, it appears that it affects, of course, things like your player stock and your bombs, but I'm not sure what some of these counters even indicate. And then we've got our sound option themselves. So we'll basically leave things on default. I did make a slight adjustment to the screen setting, so it was a little larger. And return to game. Let's get cooking. I just added a credit. Oops. So, as we start, you get to choose between three different fighters. There's the concentrated fire, the three-way, or the spread fire. We'll take the three-way. Then you've got your powerful shot, lock on, which is a homing shot, bomb, which fires three powerful but slow missiles, and then the roll, which creates these orbs that orbit around the ship, and then when you release the button, they fire forward. We'll take the roll, as that's the one I'm the least familiar with, and the one I think is most interesting as well. You can choose between 4 settings of speed, 1 through 4. We'll take speed 3. Let's disco! So, what do we have as far as our shots are concerned? Very arcade style like. You've got a shot button where if you tap the button, you get your rapid fire shot, but if you hold it down, you get your powerful shot. Fortunately, if we want to keep the rapid fire shot going, there is an auto shot button. So thank you, M2. Having to tap the button repeatedly can get tiring, to be sure. So, as we defeat enemies, you're seeing these little cyborg guys fall down to the bottom of the screen. So those are integral to the scoring system of Dangun Feveron, which is actually really unique. So let's talk a little bit about that. First off, if they hit the bottom of the screen, they'll bounce back towards the top of the screen. If they exit the top of the screen, then they're lost to you. What they do is each time you collect one, it'll increase the counter that you see there in the top left or top right if you're playing this as a second player, and it is actually possible to play this title co-op as well, just something to note. The more of the cyborgs you've collected, the higher the point value of each enemy is worth. So the base enemies are worth 1 point only, and as you collect cyborgs, they're worth that many points. The number of cyborgs you've collected plus 1. Larger enemies are worth 5 smaller enemies, and bosses actually are a multiplier based off of the number of cyborgs you've rescued in the stage. Should a cyborg exit the top of the stage, your point counter is reset, and should you continue, you lose your counter 100%. Also, we got awesome disco effects when we use our bomb. Disco Fever! So there you see the effects of the multiplier where we got an awesome score against the boss because we had a lot of cyborgs collected. Starting stage 2, we're back to our awesome disco soundtrack. We're also back to a base score of 1. And that's one of the unique and fun features that Dangun Feveron has to offer, is the unique scoring system, which is referred to as the SOS system. But unfortunately, it also makes the title extremely difficult to get a good score on, because there's a lot happening. Continuing, we've got the choice to choose between different fighters. We'll take the spread this time, and we'll go with the bomb option. We'll keep our speed the same, pick up that max power up. No! I think I let some of the disco cyborgs go off the top of the screen. It has a nice satisfying piano thunk, like dwong, when they leave the screen. And your attempts at high scores have been foiled by not saving all the cyborgs. So real quick, let's talk a little bit about power-ups. So there's 3 different power-ups that we're seeing. There's the bomb power-ups, which are represented by a B, and then there's 2 type of P power-ups. The straight shot power-up and the sway, or basically your spread shot power-up. And they're just represented by the direction that the shots on the power-up are actually traveling. So, that in a nutshell is Dangun Feveron. Real quick, I don't know if this title will receive an international release at this point. The first title in the M2ShotTriggers series, Battle Garaga, is supposed to, but at this point still there is not a release date, despite it having released, I believe, over 6 months ago at this point in Japan. So hopefully we will see an international release for this title, but as of this point in time, we have not seen one. So it is possible to pick it up off the Japanese PSN, and it's just shy of 4,000 yen, if you are interested in doing so. Well, that in a nutshell is Dangun Feveron, cooked up for your enjoyment. So, what are my thoughts on it? I love the weird disco music and aesthetic that it has for it. It's bizarre and something unlike any other shoot 'em up that I've played. Unfortunately, I only have 2 continues, so that's why I'm letting the counter go down to a game over. No! And the scoring system is really unique. I find it intriguing trying to collect all the cyborgs without letting any escape so you can get a high score. But the negatives on the title, well, it's definitely, as you saw, a difficult shoot 'em up. Unlike Cave's normal bullet hell style titles, this one is more akin to an older Toplon style shoot 'em up, where you've got not so much bullet curtains, but these faster shots that are targeted at you, so the action gets hot and heavy, and it's not so much even about knowing how to dodge, it's just simply being able to dodge while collecting the cyborgs. Always remember the cyborgs. Well, that'll just about wrap it up for today's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. A little bit of taste test in there as well, as, well, I'm just exploring what Dangun Feveron has to offer as well. I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me today for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and as always, I look forward to seeing you again next week.